Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly across the bridge of the UES Stormbreaker. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor as he moved toward the big window that showed the stars outside. The ship was quiet now, but he could feel something, powerful waiting inside it, something that wanted to fight. 3 months ago, the aliens called Zephyrians had attacked New Detroit Colony without any warning. They killed over 2 million people who had no way to defend themselves. Men, women, children, old people. Everyone died when the alien ships burned the planet from space. The Zephyrians did this just to show other humans what would happen if they tried to fight back. But humans were different from what the aliens thought. Humans did not give up when someone hurt them. They got angry, and when humans got really angry, they found ways to make their enemies pay for what they did. Jake looked at his reflection in the window. His face looked older now, with new lines around his eyes. Leading the first Thundersoul battleship was not easy work. This ship was not like the old human ships that used normal weapons and engines. The Stormbreaker used something much more dangerous. It used human feelings as weapons. Chief Engineer Lisa Campbell came up behind him. She was a small woman with short brown hair, but Jake knew she was one of the smartest people alive. Lisa had spent 5 years building the Thundersoul drive that made this ship so special. "Captain, the drive core is ready," Lisa said. The connections between the crew and the ship are working perfectly. I have never seen energy readings like this before. The ship wants to fight as much as we do." Jake turned to look at her. "How many crew members are connected to the system now?" "All 412 people on this ship," Lisa answered. "Every person here lost someone at New Detroit. Their anger and sadness are feeding into the Thundersoul matrix. The ship can feel what we feel, and it is making our feelings into something that can destroy our enemies." On the other side of the bridge, Commander Alex Turner was studying the screens that showed information about enemy ships. Alex was a tall man with gray hair who had fought in many battles before the aliens came. He knew how to read the signs that meant trouble was coming. "Captain, our spy ships have been watching the Zephyrian fleets for weeks," Alex said. "They think we are too scared to fight them. Their ships are spread out across 3 star systems, and they are not even trying to hide from us. They believe humans are too weak to be dangerous." Lieutenant Kate Phillips sat at her station, watching the numbers that showed how well the ship's special systems were working. Kate was young, maybe 25 years old, but she understood the Thundersoul technology better than almost anyone. Her job was to make sure the connection between human minds and the ship stayed strong. "Captain, the bio-neural networks are showing something I have never seen before," Kate said, her voice excited. "The crew's feelings are getting stronger as we get closer to the enemy. Usually people get scared before a battle, but our people are getting more angry. The ship is feeding on that anger and becoming more powerful." Jake nodded. This was exactly what they had hoped would happen. Other species in the galaxy fought with their minds, making careful plans and using logic to win battles. But humans were different. Humans fought with their hearts, and when their hearts were full of anger about something unfair, they became almost impossible to stop. Dr. Helen Ross came onto the bridge carrying a tablet computer. Helen was the scientist who had figured out how to make alien technology work with human machines. She had spent months studying the wreckage from Zephyrian ships, learning their secrets. "Captain, I have finished analyzing the enemy shield frequencies," Helen said. "The Zephyrians use the same basic shield design on all their ships. Our Thundersoul weapons should be able to cut through their defenses like they are made of paper." "What about their weapons?" Jake asked. "Their plasma cannons are powerful, but they are designed to fight against other alien ships," Helen explained. "Our new armor can actually absorb energy from their weapons and feed it back into our own systems. The more they shoot at us, the stronger we become." Lieutenant Ben Taylor looked up from his communication station. Ben was responsible for listening to enemy radio messages and translating what the aliens were saying. He had learned the Zephyrian language by studying recordings from New Detroit. "Captain, I am picking up transmissions from their main fleet," Ben said. "They are talking about humans like we are some kind of annoying insects. One of their commanders just said that if any human ships come to fight them, they will capture the ships and put the crews in cages for their museums." Jake felt his anger getting stronger, and he could sense the same feeling spreading through his crew. The Thunder Soul Matrix picked up these feelings and turned them into raw energy that flowed through the ship's weapons systems. "They think we are animals," Jake said quietly. "They think they can kill our people and we will just accept it. They have no idea what they have done. Humans survived ice ages on Earth. We survived wars that killed millions of our own people. We learned to fly among the stars even though space wanted to kill us every second. And now these aliens think they can make us afraid." Lisa Campbell checked her instruments again. "Captain, the Thundersoul drive is running at maximum efficiency. The ship is ready for whatever we are about to do." Jake looked around at his crew. Every person on the bridge had the same expression. Calm, but deadly serious. They all knew that this mission would either make humanity feared throughout the galaxy, or it would end with all of them dead in the cold emptiness between the stars. "Set course for Valdris Prime," Jake ordered. "The Zephyrians want to see what happens when they attack defenseless human colonies. Today they are going to learn what happens when humans decide to fight back." As the Stormbreaker turned toward enemy space, its Thundersoul drive began to sing with a sound like distant thunder. The ship itself seemed eager for the battle that was coming. 412 human hearts beat as one, their combined anger and determination flowing into weapons that could tear holes in reality itself. The aliens had made the biggest mistake of their lives when they decided to test human resolve. Now they were about to pay the price for that mistake in ways they could never have imagined. Admiral Zethkar stretched his forearms and relaxed in his command chair aboard the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Dominance. His body was covered in beautiful blue crystal plates that caught the light from the ship's control panels. Like all Zephyrians, he was much taller than humans, with a long neck and large black eyes that could see many different colors. The Admiral was feeling very pleased with himself. 3 months had passed since his fleet destroyed the human colony at New Detroit, and the inferior species had done absolutely nothing to fight back. This proved what all Zephyrians believed, that humans were primitive creatures who could be easily controlled through fear. Sub-Commander Velthon approached the command platform. His crystal plates were green instead of blue, showing that he was younger and less important than the Admiral. Velthon carried a data tablet that glowed with alien symbols. "Admiral, our long-range sensors have detected something unusual," Velthon said in the musical language that Zephyrians used to speak to each other. "A single human ship is approaching the outer edge of our star system. It appears to be using some kind of technology we have not seen before." Zethkar made a sound like crystal bells ringing, which was how Zephyrians showed amusement. "One ship? Have the humans finally decided to surrender to us properly? How wonderfully efficient of them to save us the trouble of hunting down their remaining colonies." The Admiral stood up and walked to the main display screen, which showed a map of the Valdris star system. 47 Zephyrian warships were spread across the system, each one capable of destroying entire planets. The idea that a single human vessel could pose any threat to this mighty fleet was completely ridiculous. "What type of ship are our sensors detecting?" Zethkar asked. "The computer cannot identify the design, Admiral," Velthon replied. "It is much larger than the previous human ships we have encountered, but it does not match any known configuration in our databases." Zethkar waved one of his hands dismissively. "Humans are always building new ships, but they are still using primitive technology. Deploy Squadron 7 to intercept this vessel. 6 heavy cruisers should be more than enough to capture it intact. I want to study their latest attempts at advanced engineering." What Admiral Zethkar did not know was that humans had been very busy during the 3 months since New Detroit. Dr. Helen Ross and her team of scientists had worked day and night to analyze every piece of Zephyrian technology they could find. They had studied the wreckage from old battles, intercepted alien communications, and even captured a few enemy scout ships. The humans learned that Zephyrian society was built on the idea that logic and superior technology would always defeat emotion and primitive weapons. The aliens had conquered dozens of other species using this philosophy, and they saw no reason why humans would be any different. But humans were very different from the other species the Zephyrians had defeated. Other aliens fought with their minds, carefully planning each move and trying to minimize their losses. Humans fought with their hearts, and when human hearts were filled with righteous anger, they could accomplish impossible things. Captain Ben Taylor sat at his monitoring station aboard the Stormbreaker, listening to the Zephyrian communications. His equipment could intercept and translate their messages almost instantly. What he heard made him smile grimly. "Captain Morrison, you need to hear this," Ben said into his communicator. "The Zephyrians are sending 6 ships to collect us. Their admiral thinks we are coming to surrender." Jake Morrison's voice came back through the speaker. "Are they taking any special precautions?" "None at all, sir," Ben replied. "Standard formation, minimum shields, weapons powered down. They are treating this like a routine cargo pickup." In the engineering section of the Stormbreaker, Lisa Campbell watched her instruments with growing excitement. The Thundersoul drive was responding to the crew's emotions in ways she had never seen before. Every human on the ship was connected to the main system, and their combined anger was creating energy readings that should have been impossible. "Dr. Ross, you need to see this," Lisa called to Helen, who was working at a nearby console. "The bio-neural matrix is showing some incredible numbers. The crew's hatred for these aliens is off the charts, and the ship is converting every bit of that emotion into raw power." Helen Ross looked at the data and shook her head in amazement. "Lisa, according to these readings, we are generating enough energy to power a small city, and the levels are still climbing as we get closer to the enemy fleet." Meanwhile, Squadron 7 of the Zephyrian fleet was moving into position to intercept the approaching human ship. The squadron commander, Captain Zethval, had fought in many battles against primitive species. He expected this encounter to be just as easy as all the others. "Maintain standard formation," Zethval ordered his ships. "Remember, we want to capture this vessel intact. The Admiral wants to study their technology before we add it to our collection." The 6 Zephyrian cruisers spread out in a circle around the area where the human ship would arrive. Each cruiser was 3 times larger than any human ship they had seen before, with thick armor and powerful weapons. By all logic, one human vessel should surrender immediately when faced with such overwhelming force. But the Zephyrians had never encountered anything like the Thundersoul battleship before. They did not understand that this ship was not just a machine. It was a weapon that had been forged from human rage and determination. Every person aboard the Stormbreaker remembered the images from New Detroit, the burned cities and the dead children, and their anger was feeding the ship's weapon systems. Admiral Zythkar settled back into his command chair, confident that this encounter would be over quickly. In a few hours, he would have a new human ship to study, and perhaps some prisoners to interrogate. The idea that this single vessel could pose any real threat to his mighty fleet never even entered his crystalline mind. "Sub-Commander Velthon, prepare the research teams," Zythkar ordered. "Once we have captured this ship, I want our scientists to examine every system aboard it. We must understand how far human technology has advanced since we destroyed their colony." Velthon nodded and began sending messages to the science departments throughout the fleet. Like his admiral, he believed this would be a routine operation that would provide useful intelligence about human capabilities. None of the Zephyrians realized they were about to face something that had never existed before in the galaxy. Weapon that grew stronger as its operators became more angry. A ship that could channel the fury of an entire species into beams of pure destruction. The trap was set, and the aliens were walking into it with complete confidence in their superiority. They were about to learn that crossing humanity was the deadliest mistake they could possibly make. The moment had finally arrived. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Stormbreaker as the 6 Zephyrian cruisers moved to surround his ship. Through the main window, he could see the alien vessels glowing with their strange blue energy shields. They looked confident and relaxed, like hunters who had cornered a helpless animal. The aliens had no idea what they were really facing. "All stations report status," Jake ordered, his voice calm but carrying the weight of 2 million dead colonists. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Clark looked up from his weapons console. Ryan was a big man with steady hands and ice-cold nerves in battle. He had been Jake's weapons officer for over 10 years, and he had never seen technology like what they had now. "Thundersoul cannons are fully charged, Captain," Ryan reported. "Bio-neural targeting systems have locked onto all 6 enemy ships. The weapons are practically begging to fire. At her station, Lieutenant Kate Phillips watched the incredible energy readings that flowed across her screens. The connection between the crew and the ship had become so strong that she could almost feel the Stormbreaker's eagerness for battle. It was like the ship itself wanted revenge for New Detroit. "Captain, the Thundersoul Matrix is showing readings I did not think were possible," Kate said, her voice filled with excitement. "The crew's anger is feeding into the system faster than we can measure it. The ship is practically singing with power." Jake looked around at his crew. Every face showed the same expression, calm determination mixed with burning anger. These people had all lost friends or family at New Detroit. They had spent months dreaming of this moment when they could finally strike back at the aliens who had murdered innocent humans. The Zephyrian ships began to move closer, their plasma cannons powering up to fire warning shots. Captain Zethvol's voice came over the communication system, speaking in broken human language. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately," the alien captain demanded. "Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your destruction." Jake picked up his communicator and responded in perfect Zephyrian language, which surprised the aliens. "Zephyrian ships, this is Captain Morrison of the UES Stormbreaker. You murdered 2 million innocent people at New Detroit. Today you pay for that crime." There was a moment of shocked silence from the alien ships. Then Zethvol's voice came back, filled with anger and disbelief. "Impossible. How do you speak our language? No matter. You are vastly outnumbered, human. Surrender now or we will destroy you." "I don't think so," Jake replied quietly. The Zephyrians opened fire first, just as Jake had expected they would. Streams of superheated plasma shot out from all 6 cruisers, enough destructive energy to vaporize any normal human ship. The bridge crew watched as the alien fire struck their hull. But instead of exploding, the Stormbreaker absorbed the energy from the plasma bolts. The ship's revolutionary reactive armor took the alien fire and fed it directly into the Thundersoul Matrix, making the human weapons even more powerful than before. Chief Engineer Lisa Campbell's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, the reactive armor is working perfectly. The alien weapons are actually making us stronger. Power levels are increasing by 20% with each hit." Jake smiled grimly. This was exactly what Dr. Helen Ross had promised would happen. The Zephyrians were using their own weapons to power the very guns that were about to destroy them. "Return. Fire," Jake commanded. "Show them what happens when you wake up a sleeping dragon." Ryan Clark's hands moved across his control panel, and the Thundersoul cannons erupted with light that seemed to tear holes in space itself. The weapons did not fire normal energy beams or projectiles. Instead, they launched concentrated bolts of quantum emotional energy that could unravel the basic structure of matter. The first blast struck the lead Zephyrian cruiser directly in the center of its hull. The alien ship did not simply explode, like ships usually did when they were destroyed. Instead, it seemed to dissolve into nothing, its atoms scattered across 3 different dimensions simultaneously. One moment it was there, and the next moment it was gone, as if it had never existed at all. Captain Zethvol's panicked voice came over the radio. "What kind of weapons are those? That is impossible. Matter cannot simply disappear like that." "You wanted to see advanced human technology," Jake replied calmly. "Here it is." The remaining 5 Zephyrian ships tried to retreat, but they were too slow and too close. The Thundersoul cannons fired again, and another alien cruiser vanished into quantum foam. The Stormbreaker's weapons were powered by the concentrated fury of 412 humans who remembered New Detroit, and that fury was unstoppable. Dr. Helen Ross worked frantically at her science station, analyzing the quantum resonance patterns created by the Thundersoul Matrix. What she saw amazed and frightened her at the same time. "Captain, the weapons are adapting and evolving with each shot," Helen reported. "The ship is learning from our emotions and becoming more efficient at converting anger into destructive power. Each blast is more accurate and more devastating than the last one." A third Zephyrian cruiser tried to escape by jumping to faster-than-light speed, but the Thundersoul cannons fired before the alien ship could complete its jump. The quantum emotional energy followed the cruiser into hyperspace and tore it apart between dimensions. Lieutenant Ben Taylor intercepted the desperate radio calls that the surviving Zephyrians were sending to their main fleet. "Captain, they are requesting immediate reinforcements. They are calling us an impossible phenomenon and asking for study teams to analyze our weapons." "Too late for studying," Jake said grimly. "Today they learn why humans survived every disaster that our home planet could throw at us. We don't just fight with weapons, we fight with our souls." The fourth and fifth Zephyrian cruisers were destroyed within seconds of each other, their hulls dissolving under the quantum assault. Only one enemy ship remained, and it was broadcasting surrender messages in every language it knew. But the humans remembered the children who died at New Detroit, and mercy was not something they were prepared to offer. The final Thundersoul blast lit up the space around them like a miniature star. When the light faded, all 6 Zephyrian cruisers had been erased from existence. Only expanding clouds of subatomic particles remained where the alien ships had been. Jake looked out at the empty space where his enemies had been just moments before. The first test of the Thundersoul technology had been a complete success, but he knew this was only the beginning. The main Zephyrian fleet was still out there, and they would not be caught off guard like these 6 ships had been. "Set course for Valdris Prime," Jake ordered. "It's time to show Admiral Zeethkar what happens when someone decides to test human resolve." The Stormbreaker turned toward the heart of the enemy fleet, its Thundersoul drive humming with satisfaction and eager for the larger battle that was coming. Admiral Zeethkar stared at his main display screen in complete shock. The 6 ships of Squadron 7 had simply vanished from his sensors. No explosions, no debris fields, no distress signals. They were just gone as if they had never existed at all. "This is impossible," the Admiral whispered, his crystal plates turning dark blue with fear. "What kind of weapons can make entire ships disappear without leaving any trace?" Sub-Commander Velthon checked his instruments again, hoping he had made some kind of mistake. But the readings were clear. 6 heavy cruisers, each one carrying over 1,000 Zephyrian warriors, had been erased from existence in less than 5 minutes by a single human vessel. "Admiral, long-range sensors show the human ship is still approaching," Velthon reported, his voice shaking. "It appears to be heading directly for Valdris Prime. Should we prepare the planetary defenses?" Zithkar's forearms trembled as he realized the magnitude of the situation. For over 300 years, the Zephyrian Empire had conquered species after species using their superior technology in overwhelming numbers. No enemy had ever posed a real threat to their fleets. The idea that primitive humans could develop weapons this powerful was beyond his understanding. "Deploy the entire 3rd Battle Fleet," Zeethkar ordered, his musical voice cracking with panic. "Every ship we have in this system, 47 vessels against 1. Surely that will be enough to stop this madness." But even as he gave the order, the Admiral felt a growing sense of dread. If one human ship could destroy 6 cruisers without taking any damage, what would happen when it faced his entire fleet? Meanwhile, aboard the Stormbreaker, Captain Jake Morrison watched the enemy response through his tactical displays. Dozens of Zephyrian ships were moving to intercept them, forming a massive wall of alien firepower that stretched across space. Commander Alex Turner studied the formation patterns on his screens. Alex had fought in many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. The aliens were bringing everything they had to stop one human ship. "Captain, we are facing 47 enemy warships," Alex reported. "By any normal standard, this should be a massacre. But these are not normal circumstances." Jake nodded grimly. The Thundersoul Matrix was responding to the crew's determination and anger, feeding on their emotions and converting them into power that defied all known laws of physics. Each member of his crew had lost someone at New Detroit, and their thirst for revenge was making the ship stronger with each passing moment. Dr. Helen Ross worked frantically in her laboratory, analyzing the quantum resonance patterns that the Thundersoul weapons had created during the first battle. What she discovered both amazed and terrified her. "Captain, you need to see this data," Helen called over the communication system. "The Thundersoul Matrix is not just using our emotions as fuel, it is learning from them. Each successful hit teaches the system how to be more accurate and more destructive. The weapons are actually evolving during combat. Lieutenant Kate Phillips monitored the bio-neural networks that connected every crew member to the ship's consciousness. The readings she saw were unlike anything in the technical manuals. "Captain, the connection between the crew and the ship is getting stronger," Kate reported. "I can feel the Stormbreaker responding to our thoughts and feelings. It is like the ship has developed its own personality, and that personality wants to destroy every Zephyrian in this system." Chief Engineer Lisa Campbell's voice came from the engine room. "Captain, power levels are continuing to climb as we approach the enemy fleet. The Thundersoul drive is operating beyond all specifications, but it shows no signs of instability. If anything, it seems to be getting more efficient." Lieutenant Carl Morgan sat at the communications station, intercepting the frantic messages that the Zephyrians were sending between their ships. Carl was young but skilled at languages, and he had learned to understand Zephyrian speech patterns during his intelligence training. "Sir, the aliens are requesting reinforcements from their home fleet," Carl reported. "They are calling this an impossible phenomenon and asking for immediate study teams to analyze our weapons technology." "Too late for studying," Jake replied. "Today they learn why humans survived the ice ages and the wars on Earth. We don't give up when someone hurts us. We get angry, and when humans get angry enough, we become capable of anything." The first Zephyrian ships opened fire when the Stormbreaker came within range of their plasma cannons. Hundreds of energy bolts streaked through space, enough firepower to glass an entire planet. The alien commanders were confident that no single ship could survive such an overwhelming assault. But the Thundersoul battleship was not like any ship that had ever been built before. Its reactive armor absorbed the incoming fire and fed the energy directly into its own weapon systems. The more the aliens shot at it, the more powerful it became. "Return fire," Jake commanded. "All weapons, full spread. Show them what 400 humans can do when they fight with their hearts instead of just their minds." The Thundersoul cannons erupted in a display of quantum lightning that lit up the entire star system. Unlike conventional weapons that simply destroyed their targets, these beams reached into the fundamental structure of reality and unraveled it. Matter ceased to exist where the beams passed, leaving nothing but empty space behind. The first wave of Zephyrian ships, 12 heavy cruisers, vanished in an instant. Their hulls, their crews, their weapons, everything that made them real, simply stopped existing. The remaining alien commanders watched in horror as their carefully planned formation dissolved into chaos. Admiral Zithkar's voice came over the emergency communication channel, no longer musical, but harsh with terror. "All ships retreat immediately. This enemy possesses weapons that should not be possible. We must warn the High Council." But retreat was not an option. The Thundersoul weapons reached out across space faster than any ship could travel, guided by the focused hatred of humans, who remembered New Detroit. One by one, the Zephyrian vessels were erased from existence. "Captain, the aliens are trying to surrender," Lieutenant Carl Morgan reported as he monitored their communications. "Multiple ships are broadcasting white flag signals and requesting mercy." Jake looked out at the stars where millions of human colonists had died just 3 months ago. He thought about the children who had been burned alive when the Zephyrians attacked without warning or provocation. "No mercy," Jake said quietly. "They showed no mercy at New Detroit. Today they learn what it means to face human justice." The Thundersoul cannons continued to fire, each blast more precise and more devastating than the last. The ship's artificial intelligence was learning from the crew's emotions, becoming a perfect instrument of revenge. Within 15 minutes, 36 of the 47 Zephyrian ships had been completely destroyed. The remaining 11 vessels tried desperately to escape, but human fury travels faster than light when it is properly focused through quantum emotional resonance fields. One by one, they too were caught and erased from existence. Finally, only Admiral Zithkar's flagship remained, drifting helplessly in space with its engines dead and its weapons destroyed. The alien commander sent one final message before the Thundersoul cannons fired for the last time. "We have awakened something that should have remained sleeping," Zithkar transmitted to the Zephyrian Empire. "The humans fight with more than weapons. They fight with the fury of their very souls. Warn the other fleets, we have made a terrible mistake." Then the flagship vanished like all the others, leaving only empty space where the mighty Third Battle Fleet had once been. The Battle of Valdris Prime was over. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Stormbreaker, looking out at the empty space where 47 Zephyrian warships had been just 17 minutes earlier. Now there was nothing but expanding, clouds of subatomic particles and the glow of quantum energy, slowly fading back to normal space. The silence on the bridge was complete. Every member of the crew was processing what they had just accomplished. They had not simply won a battle. They had announced to the entire galaxy that humanity was no longer a species that could be pushed around by alien bullies. Lieutenant Kate Phillips was the first to speak, her voice filled with awe. "Captain, the Thundersoul Matrix is powering down, but very slowly. It is like the ship does not want the battle to end. The bio-neural networks are still singing with satisfaction." Jake nodded. He could feel it too. The ship's contentment flowing through the connection that linked every human aboard to the Thundersoul drive. The Stormbreaker had been built for this moment, and it had performed beyond everyone's wildest hopes. Chief Engineer Lisa Campbell's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, I am getting readings that I never expected to see. The Thundersoul drive not only performed perfectly, but it actually improved itself during the battle. The quantum emotional resonance field is now 30% more efficient than when we started." Commander Alex Turner looked up from his tactical station, where he was analyzing the data from the engagement. "Sir, our long-range sensors are picking up something interesting. That final transmission from Admiral Zythkar was broadcast on an empire-wide emergency frequency. Every Zephyrian fleet in the galaxy heard his warning about human capabilities." Jake walked over to the main communication console, where Lieutenant Carl Morgan was monitoring radio traffic from across the star system. Carl's equipment could intercept transmissions from dozens of different alien species, and what he was hearing would have been impossible to believe just an hour ago. "Captain, you need to hear this," Carl said, his voice excited. "We are receiving communication requests from 17 different alien governments. Most of them want to discuss immediate peace treaties. The Andromedans are offering to share their star charts with us. The Centauri Federation wants to establish trade agreements. Even the Zephyrian Empire is transmitting surrender terms." Dr. Helen Ross emerged from her laboratory, carrying a tablet full of data that would change human understanding of physics forever. The quantum emotional resonance patterns created by the Thundersoul weapons had opened up entirely new fields of scientific research. "Captain, the implications of what we accomplished today go far beyond military applications," Helen said. "The quantum resonance field we generated has been detected by sensor arrays throughout this entire sector of the galaxy. Every advanced species within 50 light-years now knows that humans possess technology that can literally erase matter from existence." Jake looked at the strategic display that showed human space and all the alien territories surrounding it. Just this morning, humanity had been seen as a minor species with primitive technology. Now, every major power in the galaxy was scrambling to either ally with humans or find ways to destroy them before they became too dangerous. "What kind of response are we getting from Earth?" Jake asked. Lieutenant Carl checked his long-range communications. "Sir, Earth Central Command is sending congratulations and new orders. They want detailed reports on the Thundersoul technologies performance, and they are authorizing immediate production of 100 more ships just like this one." Lisa Campbell's voice came over the speakers again. "Captain, if they build 100 Thundersoul battleships, we will have the most powerful space fleet in the galaxy. No alien empire would dare attack human colonies again." But Jake was not entirely happy with this news. He understood better than most people what they had just unleashed. The Thundersoul technology worked by turning human emotions into weapons, and emotions were not always easy to control. "Dr. Ross, what are your concerns about expanding this program?" Jake asked. Helen looked at her data tablet before answering. "Captain, the Thundersoul matrix responds to strong emotions, especially anger and hatred. If we build a fleet of these ships, we need to be very careful about who crews them and how they are used. In the wrong hands, this technology could be turned against innocent people." Commander Alex Turner brought up a different concern. "Sir, intelligence estimates that news of this engagement will reach every major power in the galaxy within 72 hours. Some of them will want to be our friends, but others will see us as a threat that needs to be eliminated before we grow too strong. Jake nodded grimly. This was exactly what he had been afraid of. Humanity had just demonstrated that they could build weapons capable of erasing entire fleets from existence. Every alien empire would now have to decide whether humans were potential allies or dangerous enemies. Lieutenant Morgan, send a message to Earth Central Command, Jake ordered. Tell them the mission was successful, but include this warning. We have opened a door that can never be closed again. Every species in the galaxy is going to want either to ally with us or destroy us. There is no middle ground anymore. Kate Phillips looked up from her station with new information. Captain, I am detecting multiple faster-than-light signatures approaching this system. It looks like ships from at least 5 different species all heading in our direction. Are they hostile? Alex asked, his hand moving toward the weapons controls. Unknown, sir, Kate replied. But based on their approach vectors, I think they are coming to investigate what happened here rather than to attack us. Jake made a decision that would affect the future of human expansion into space. Stand down from battle stations, but keep the Thundersoul drive at ready status. We are going to wait here and see who wants to talk to us. Over the next few hours, ships from across the galaxy arrived at Valdris Prime to see the aftermath of the battle. Representatives from the Andromedans, the Centauri Federation, the Rigel Commonwealth, and even some Zephyrian diplomats came to witness the place where human technology had erased an entire battle fleet. The alien visitors were amazed and frightened by what they found. The quantum resonance signatures left by the Thundersoul weapons were unlike anything in their databases. Many of the alien scientists requested permission to study the energy patterns, offering valuable technology in exchange for information. But Jake was careful about what information he shared. Humanity now had the most feared weapons in the galaxy, and he intended to keep the secrets of their construction safely in human hands. As the Stormbreaker prepared to return to Earth, Jake looked out at the stars one final time. The age of human expansion had truly begun, carried forward on wings of quantum fire and the unleashed fury of a species that had learned to weaponize its very soul. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had proven that crossing them was madness, and now they would have to live with the consequences of becoming the most dangerous species in known space. Some aliens would seek their friendship, others would plot their destruction, but none would ever again make the mistake of underestimating human determination. The Thundersoul battleship turned toward home, its mission complete, but its legacy just beginning. In the depths of space, a new chapter in galactic history had been written in letters of quantum lightning and human resolve.